This is our preliminary design review for the water purifying bike. My name is Ryan Lose.
I'm Chrissy Butler.
I'm Morgan Kaus.
And I'm Claire Meyer. Okay, so we're going to start out with the performance requirements of our product. So we wanted to build something that would purify water while traveling. So we decided to use a bike. So our main two requirements are it needs to be able to produce 1 liter of purified water within 10 minutes while traveling. And second of all, this product cannot interfere with the normal use of the bike. So you should be able to ride this bike even if your goal isn't to purify water, if you just want to get somewhere. So where is this useful? We thought that this might be useful in countries where access to clean and purified water isn't readily available, but bikes are used for travel a lot. So for example, in India, there's a higher percentage of people with bikes than the percentage of people with purified tap water. So in countries like this could be a really helpful innovation.
The interface requirements are as follows. Gear 1 will attach to the pedal of the bicycle. It will be made of steel alloy with a 2.54 centimeter inner diameter and a 15.24 centimeter outer diameter. The rotation from pedaling will turn Gear 1, which is also connected to the belt. The belt will connect Gear 1 to Gear 2. The belt will be made of carbon or alloy steel. Essentially, it'll just be a bike chain. And the movement from the belt will then turn Gear 2. Gear 2 will connect to the small wind-powered generator's rotor. Gear 2 will be made of steel alloy as well, with a 1/2 inch inner diameter and a 6 centimeter outer diameter. The rotation from Gear 2 will turn the rotor on the small generator. So the small wind-powered generator will be connected to the water purifying UV light. This part is outsourced, so I'm not entirely sure what it's made of. The generator will be contained in an acrylic box connected to the top tube of the bike. The generator will connect to the UV light via wires. The UV light will be fitted into the screw cap of a water bottle, and the cap and water bottle will be both made of plastic. The water bottle and cap will attach to the frame of the bike via a water bottle holder.
Alright, so next we're going to talk about the mechanical analysis. So the first thing that we really want to do before we begin constructing our system is to stress test it. And what I mean by that is I just want to make sure that the system can still function while the bike is moving. We don't want things falling apart. How we'll have it stay attached to the bike is really important because you don't want to be leaving pieces behind. When you're riding a bike, going over bumps, you're putting a lot of wear and tear on the system, so we want to make sure that everything stays connected. And also it needs to fit compactly on the bike. We want it to be small enough so that there's minimal interference with the rider of the bike, so as they're pedaling they're not hitting wires or stuff like that. And then also we want to reduce the overall weight so that if one side weighs more than the other, that could affect the performance of the bike or something like that. And then everything must work together effectively. What we mean by this is basically we just want to make sure that it works, that the bike is able to supply enough energy to power the bike.
Okay, so next we'll talk about electrical analysis. So for our project, the ultimate goal is to power the stereo pen so that it can purify the water. And our actual power source is going to come from pedaling the bike. So that we can get the power from that to the generator so that it can produce electricity, we'll have a 2-gear system with a belt. So basically, the pedal will spin the first gear, which then will turn the belt, which is connected to the second gear, which spins that and is also connected to the generator. So then as the generator spins, it outputs about 6 volts of electricity that will be connected through wires to the stereo pen inside of the water bottle. So as it travels through the wires, then the electricity will go to the stereo pen and actually have it be able to purify the water.
Alright, so next we're going to talk about the failure analysis. So we have some potential problems and then some solutions to those problems. So first of all, the bike may not supply enough power to the light. And in order to fix this, we need to make initial calculations. We need to figure out how much power the UV light is going to require and how much energy the bike is going to produce to make sure that it's going to produce enough power. Also, the system might fall apart while riding the bike. What this basically comes down to is you need to have solid construction, you need to make sure everything's fitting together properly and nothing's going to break. Also, the UV light might not properly purify the water, and in order to fix this, we need to make sure that we order the right light for the water bottle. There are tons of different UV lights out there, So we need to make sure we have one that's actually going to be able to purify the water. And then finally, the energy isn't transferred properly throughout the system. So what we want to make sure we do is we make sure that the system is effective. So basically just that the energy can move throughout the system freely from the bike all the way to the UV light.
So basically, this is how it all comes together. The user will have a need for clean water. They will take dirty water and connect it to the UV light water bottle cap. After that, they'll begin pedaling the bike. The pedaling will then turn gear 1. Gear 1 will pull on the belt. The belt pulls on gear 2, which is connected to the generator. Gear 2 rotates the generator. The generator produces electricity. Electricity from generator powers the UV sterilization light. And after 6 minutes of pedaling, the user can consume their clean water.
Here's the tentative schedule for our project. Today is this yellow highlighted column, so the dates are divided by columns and all of our tasks are divided by rows. We started out with brainstorming project ideas. That took about 3 days, and since that's in dark purple, that means that that's been completed. Anything in light purple still has to be completed. After we brainstormed project ideas, we came up with our final project idea, which is the water purifying bike. We then started to conceptualize design plans, just figure out how we wanted everything to work, get a beginning of idea of how things would work together, and things of that nature. We started to order and buy parts, and that's still going on. We're only about 10% of the way there. And then that brought us to today, our preliminary design review. Next, we have started and are going to continue finalizing our plans, making sure we know how everything will work together, but we can't completely finalize those plans until we've bought all the materials so we really know how they look and how everything's going to fit together. Then we'll begin actually physically building our project. That will take the largest amount of time, probably 2.5 weeks. After that, and during that process, we'll have our critical design review, but enough of our bike should be built. It won't be completely built, but we should have enough that we can have a working prototype. After that, we'll begin to test and evaluate our project, make sure that it's fulfilling all of the requirements we need it to fulfill, and that everything is working together as it should. We have our deadlines set for ourselves for our project building and all of the documents that we'll need for the Design Expo for the Friday before Thanksgiving break, so we'll have a good window of time if things don't work how they need to. Thanksgiving break is shown here, just for reference. And then we'll have a full week of school before the Design Expo after spring break to make sure everything is put together for the Design Expo, practice our presentation for our Design Expo, and finally the Design Expo is on December 3rd.
Okay, so this is the general outline of our budget. We have already ordered a wind-powered generator that was about $15 with shipping and everything, and we're currently in the process of researching different SteriPen UV lights. So they've range between $50 and $100, and we haven't yet decided which one will be easier to turn from battery to electrical powered. And then we also need to find gears and a belt, which we estimate combining those things will be about $30. And we're going to use 2 Nalgene water bottles so that we have both connected, one that will be purified at the time and then one that's separate. And so then we'll have the 2 caps as well. And that added up will be about $30. And then for general hardware like Velcro and acrylic and other things like that, we estimated the random loose ends will add up to about $30. So we should be well under budget as of right now.
We would be nothing without our outstanding managers. Why don't we talk about some of our team roles? First, we have our brilliant project manager, Claire. Next, why don't we introduce our finance manager, Morgan? Those are our team roles, and that concludes our presentation. I had some in my head and then I forgot.
You just upstairs.